presentation set aside for you guys tonight. Back in March of 2020, when the whole world seemed to combust and travel was halted to a complete stop, we decided that we were going to start these webinar Wednesdays. Is just a really great way to stay connected with our clientele, our community, and to just learn something during this time when we were all just focusing on the Maslow hierarchy of needs, just merely surviving during this pandemic. And, you know, I am pleased to introduce this webinar this Wednesday because hopefully it means that things are opening up, and we're focusing on travel because as Canadians, I know that, and myself 100%, like the first opportunity I get to jump on a plane and head somewhere that isn't my backyard, I am there. So I am so pleased to introduce to you all today Bonnie from Broad Escapes, which is a tour company for women, which is a division of Ellison Travel and Tours Limited. Ellison's mission is to provide a seamless travel experience at great value for our clients. Ellison Travel and Tours is one of the largest Canadian-owned travel agencies in Canada, yet they have the advantages of a small town business like Hangar9. Friendly personal attention, long-serving employees, and a superior level of expertise and service. So Bonnie is here today to discuss some important protocols and tools for your travel toolbox for when you feel comfortable to start traveling again. So let's get started with our extraordinary guest, Bonnie.
Thank you so much, Rachel, and thank you to Hangar9 for allowing me to be part of your Wednesday webinar. I'm just going to start here by sharing my screen. And there we go. So as Rachel alluded to, I'm Bonnie Hinschberger, and I'm co-founder of Broad Escapes Tours for Women. My brand offers meticulously designed, customized tours for women to enrich their lives while traveling. It offers a fun, safe, and welcoming environment. And our groups are small in numbers, but big on experiences. And over the years, I've found that many women are often more adventurous than their partners. So, you know, many women join our tours that are married, some don't have partners. We really specialize in solo travelers. So it's a welcoming environment for everyone. Many of our clients, well, like I said, many of our clients join as solos. They develop friendships while they're on their tours and then end up traveling together with the girls that they've met on the tour. So that's just a little background about Broad Escapes. In addition to customizing women's tours, I also create tailor-made trips for small groups looking for extraordinary experiences. And those are small groups of any gender. So my passion is to deliver authentic and exceptional travel experiences to all travelers with a real focus on meaningful journeys, local, immersive, and off the beaten path experiences. So as Rachel mentioned, in Ontario, in order to operate in any kind of travel, you have to work through a licensed travel agency. And Ellison Travel and Tours is, Broad Escapes is licensed under Ellison Travel and Tours. They are 100% Canadian owned, and like Rachel said, one of the largest companies in Canada, established here just north of London in Exeter by Doug Ellison. And Doug and his family still run the business 40 plus years now. So these are some of the stats that Ellison would do in a typical post or pre-COVID year. We typically have around 600 customized groups. That would equate to about 40,000 passengers and approximately 11,000 leisure travelers as well. We have 90 team members and 3 offices, one in Exeter, one in London, and one in Vancouver. So today I'm going to just try to answer some of your questions that you might have. I'm sure many of you are like Rachel and really want to hit the ground running when you feel that you're able to kind of reach out beyond your backyard. So today I'm going to talk about where you can travel, where you can look for reliable travel information, some safe travel programs, future trends in our travel industry, and travel insurance and things that you need to know before you go. So in my presentation, I'm going to be providing you with several different websites, but you don't have to worry about writing these things down. You're going to be given a list of all the websites in a follow-up email from Hangar9. So the first question, where can you travel in Canada? This is an interactive website, and it when you click on, I'm not using it interactive on my presentation, but if you go to this website, you can click on the province or area that you're interested in traveling to, and it's updated on a regular basis, and it's a good resource for you to plan if you're planning on traveling within Canada. Right now, this is, I think my screen here says May 5th, but it is updated on a regular basis. I think the last update I saw today was May 12th, so I think they probably update it weekly. I expect another update in the next day or two. But like Ontario, much of Canada is not advisable to travel right now. I'm just going to kind of give you some stats on where we're at. For example, in British Columbia, they have a restart plan, but it's on pause right now because they have province-wide restrictions. And until May 24th, they can't accommodate people in hotels that are outside of that local health authority. So no one can really travel to BC right now unless it's essential. Indoor, Whistler and Blackcomb, for example, they're closed. Indoor dining is closed, and outdoor dining is permitted at this time. In Alberta, they've implemented measures in regions where there's a lot of high cases. So they're in, actually, they have a 4-step called a path forward, and they're in step 1. So, you know, they still have a long way to go before they're going to be opening up fully again as well. And their restaurants are open for takeout and delivery only. Saskatchewan, it's a little bit vague in Saskatchewan, but in Regina, for example, restaurants are closed, but in other areas where the case counts are lower, they do allow for businesses to be open and restaurants with limited capacity, social distancing. Manitoba is all in red. It's a critical response area right now, so or critical response level. So you know that would be something you couldn't avoid right now. We all know what Ontario's like, and that's been extended until June. But even campsites are not available right now unless it's a seasonal campground where it's actual housing, but the temporary camp zones are not available. Quebec is actually looking pretty positive right now. They're still technically today, most areas are not open. But for example, on May 28th, Quebec City plans on reopening restaurants and outdoor stadiums to a maximum of 2,500 people. And Montreal right now is in a curfew, I think until 9:30 p.m. each night, but they plan on opening up in late May or early June. So that's positive for sure. The East Coast, I don't think you're going to get to the East Coast this summer. It's currently closed, has been pretty tight the entire COVID situation. But I have a colleague who's in a conference this week put on by Destination Canada. And the government of Newfoundland, I guess, had announced to their tourism board that they can expect not to have any customers until at least the fall and likely not until 2022. So, you know, that's not looking very positive that we'd be able to travel to the east this summer. And the Yukon and Northwest territories, they're in step 1 and step 2 of a 4-step plan. So the next website that I'm going to suggest is when you want to travel internationally, where would you want to go and how would you get there? So this first website here is IATA, and it's the International Air Transportation Association, and it's an interactive map as well. It's very good. You press on the country that you want to go to, you will get not only the COVID requirements, but you'll get all of the other requirements as far as, you know, passport information and that type of thing. So that's a really good interactive website, and I strongly recommend that you would use that, put that in your travel toolbox. The other one on this page here is, is a government, Canadian government website. And I would use this website on a regular basis for sure. And the Canadian government, what they do is they break everything down by country. And this is information for Canadians who travel with a Canadian passport. And it's very detailed. When you'll get the travel advisories, you'll get individual like entry and exit requirements, and they're all different menus. The entry and exit requirement, I think, is the fourth menu, and that's the menu that you'll want to look at first to see what is required to enter the country and what's required to exit the country. So the next slide I have here is an Air Canada slide, and with it being you know, one of our national carriers, Air Canada also has great information here for you. And it's to the routes that Air Canada flies, but you know, they have a lot of destinations, so there's a lot of information in there. But the nice thing about this site is they also have COVID testing locations, because currently right now, in order to get back into Canada, you have to have a COVID test. So this would give you locations at destination and where you can get that information or get that test done. So it's really important that you do your research before you make your travel arrangements. You need to check government websites. You need to review the current case numbers at your selected destination. And you need to check if things are open, like attractions. Do they have reduced hours? And you know, that's going to be for quite some time, because many countries, you know, will open and then maybe have tighter restrictions and then open again. So that's kind of an ongoing basis. You'll need to check that. One thing to keep in mind, that the situation is constantly evolving for all countries. It can change quickly, and governments can shut down borders with little warning. This can in turn affect your ability to return to Canada. And currently the government of Canada is no longer providing repatriation flights. So you're kind of on your own if you are, you know, if you're in a country and it locks its borders due to COVID. So, and it is becoming obvious that many of these countries are going to adopt some sort of proof of vaccination or another alternative. One of the questions people ask me all the time, like, do you think we're going to have to be vaccinated to travel? And I think, yes, you're going to have to be, or some other alternative. So I'll give you some examples on that. IATA, which I had mentioned earlier on the other website, they have an app that they're currently testing through several large airlines. And they're the association that all the airlines fall under. So these airlines that are testing it, they're, you know, Emirates, Qantas, larger airlines like that. And it, you know, it looks like if they approve this app, then most airlines falling under IATA might also use this app. So that's a vaccination app there. There's also the EU, European Union. They are open. They're opening up this spring. Some countries are opening up sooner than others. But they have within the EU a digital certificate. And that digital certificate, it's not necessarily called a vaccination certificate, but it's a digital app that you'd have on your phone. And in order to qualify to get that certificate, you either have to be fully vaccinated, or you have to have proof of antibodies, meaning that you've just recently recovered from COVID, or you have to have a recent negative COVID test when you're traveling. So the vaccinations right now that the EU certificate are recognizing are the 3 vaccinations that Canada has approved, which are Pfizer, Moderna, and AstraZeneca. But coincidentally, there are other vaccines that they're not approving right now, and those are several of the vaccines that are being administered in Asia and India. So they're looking at extending that, but right now it's really just the countries that use those vaccines that can enter into the EU right now. And to give you an idea, the EU just in Portugal, they just opened up this week to allow UK citizens into their country. And from what I understand, the flights are full. People are flying down to Portugal. The United Kingdom clients want to get down to the beaches, so they're going down to the Algarve, and it's quite busy down there right now. So there is a light at the end of the tunnel as far as opening some of these borders. I'm just going to give you a kind of some examples of what's happening around the world on these vaccinations and what might be required of Canadians as well. So for example, in Denmark, they have a Corona Pass, and they use that app on their phone to people who are fully vaccinated, and that allows them to enter bars, restaurants, museums, any type of entertainment like that. A similar process is in Israel, and I think they have 93%, I could be wrong, but it's very high. 93% of the population is vaccinated in Israel, but they still have this app that people have on their phones that permits users to access hotels, gyms, theaters, restaurants, what have you. So Greece, for example, has been cleared for the summer. They opened in May, and cruise ships can sail from Greece. So the Mediterranean cruise ships, a lot of them are disembarking in Greece this year. So that's underway as well. And the United States has given clearance for cruises starting in July of 2021. So there definitely are some cruises happening from July on, and there's actually right now some pressure from the British Columbia government for Canada to open up their borders for cruise lines. Right now, Canada's borders for cruises entering Canada is closed until February 2022. And as you can imagine, these cruise ships that used to sail into Canada are finding alternate routes. So one of them, like for the Alaska cruises, a lot of them used to leave from Vancouver, and British Columbia is nervous that if they start leaving from Seattle this year, they might not come back to Vancouver for the future. So there's pressure on our government to open that up a little bit early right now. Australia, New Zealand, they're in their own travel bubble. They can travel freely within their 2 countries, but they're not expected to open until early 2022, maybe even later. So these are just some of the different scenarios around the world. I just today received notification from Asia. In general, a lot of the countries in Asia are having very poor, slow progress in their vaccinations. Some are just vaccinated like 1.2% of the population type thing. So they have recently been hit with the UK variant, and it's spreading quite quickly. So right now, Asia isn't really an opportunity to travel. Some of the countries like Thailand, Bali, Indonesia, Singapore, they're looking at opening in the 3rd quarter of 2021, but for the most part, it will be 2022. And Africa, I have a group actually that I've been trying to get to Africa since 2020, and I changed it to 2021, and I've now changed it to 2022. So I keep close tabs on Africa, and Africa actually has fared fairly well with this pandemic. Kenya, specifically Kenya, they've been allowing passengers into Kenya since August of 2020. So people who are getting in and going on safari are seeing amazing wildlife, and but it's still getting there. That's can be difficult, and then of course for Canadians you have to quarantine when you get home. So in general, what to expect when you're traveling. You really need to be flexible, adaptable, and patient. Things are changing on a daily basis. And even though, like when the world is vaccinated, the masks are not going to go away. I believe that the masks will continue for quite some time. They're mandatory on airplanes right now and most public transportation. Things like amenities at the airport, they've already been reduced. Duty-free lounges, a lot of them in airports right now may not be open. Lounges, if you're used to going to the airport and having that hour or two wait in the lounge, most of those have been closed through the pandemic, even though the airports have been open. So that's something you need to consider if you, when you're traveling. Maybe by the time you're traveling, they'll be open, but right now, most of them have been closed. And even boarding and disembarking a plane will be different. And we're just all going to need to have patience when we do this. Disembarking, it used to be that, the plane landed, everyone got up and, waited to go out, but now they're disembarking by section and by row. So trying to keep everyone, as safe as possible. So my next slide here, I won't get into this too much because it's how you're entering Canada by air. And I mean, if you're here right now, you're probably not traveling. And with the quarantine in place, most Canadians are not traveling unless it's essential. But the one thing I really want to emphasize here is we have a thing called the Arrive Canada app, and it's called Arrive Can. And this is necessary that you complete and submit your travel information and your quarantine plans. And you have to have this done prior to entering Canada right now. Whether you fly in, whether you drive in, it has to be done. So you would go to either the Arrive Can app or on a desktop, and once you submit all your plans, you'll get a receipt, and you have to take that receipt when you check in at the airport when you're flying back into Canada. So there are other things too, like you have to have right now your hotel confirmation for your 3-night stay in Toronto or in the airport that you're flying into, your recent test and things like that. But like I said, most people will travel after those restrictions are listed or lifted, but I did want to make you aware of that Arrive Canada app. So the one thing with that Arrive Canada app, Canada right now is looking at developing their own vaccination certificate so that Canadians who are vaccinated will be able to freely travel internationally. And that is looking like it might be attached to that Arrive Canada app. So that hasn't been formal, but that's the direction they're kind of looking at. So the next slide here is just an optional thing. This has always been in place, but it is registration for the Canadian government in case there's an emergency situation in the country that you're visiting. Now you can go and register anytime you travel outside of Canada, but it's totally up to you. It's optional. I do it sometimes when I'm traveling to a developing country, just in case there's an emergency there while I'm there. And then, Canada will have an idea of how many Canadians they have in that country. And if you've registered, then they'll know how to contact you. So that's completely up to you and optional, but just a website there if you're interested. And then there's some other health resources here that are reliable. And again, you'll get those in your link. So the next thing is a safe travel stamp. And we at Ellison and Broadscapes have been designated with this stamp. And really what it is it's a stamp recognized by the World Travel and Tourism Association. And it's we follow all the protocols set out by World Health Organization. It's really approval of that company that you are providing a safe environment for your clients. So we're happy to have had that designation, and you'll probably see that if you, I'll give you a list of some of the things that that might, like hotels, restaurants, airlines, cruise lines, like tour operators, travel agencies, even transportation. So you'll get to notice that maybe in the doors of the businesses that you're visiting, and it is a worldwide stamp of approval. In order to get that stamp, there's 4 pillars that you have to meet. And operational, staff training, making sure you're providing a safe experience. So it's worth looking for when you are choosing your travel plans, or when you're out and about. It means that company has passed the protocols set out by this stamp. So this slide here shows you the countries that have adopted this stamp, and it is pretty much worldwide at this point. So it's something you'll see now that that I've shown you. You'll probably be recognizing it on websites and stores and whatnot as well. So travel trends. Right now, we're in Ontario, even though we're in a lockdown, we're starting to see bookings for this fall and winter. And we're starting to see people interested in going south, getting, those destinations they didn't get to travel to last winter. There are currently scheduled flights for the fall and winter, like your typical charters that a lot of people are interested in to get away from the winter. So there's charters right now from London, from Toronto, from Hamilton, and other destinations in Canada as well. For our groups, we are not taking deposits at this time, but we are taking pre-registrations. But there's a light at the tunnel, because we see in Europe and in the US that once travel bans are lifted and once the general population is vaccinated, people are anxious to travel. So these are some of the trends that we're seeing right now. Domestic travel, of course, is really important, and everyone is doing it, not just in our own country, but countries worldwide. Like the Europeans are traveling within Europe, and the Americans are traveling within America as well. But really worldwide, it's been the same. Like I spoke to a supplier in Iceland, and people in Iceland are experiencing their own country. So it's kind of nice that way. It's a local movement. Obviously, some of the trends are outdoor activities like hiking, cycling, yacht rentals, golf and ski trips, that type of thing. Sustainability, immersive and enriching experience. And this is great for me because this is what I really specialize in with my tours. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a sec. Bubble groups are really popular right now. So the people that you feel comfortable traveling with, maybe rent a villa or a small apartment, or multi-generational are also really popular. And curated private groups. Again, that's the type of thing that we specialize in. So long stays and slow travel. And this is actually great because it means that people are interested in staying in a destination and really experiencing the culture and getting to know the destination and everything around it. So that's a great trend. One flight destinations, that's a trend, so that Canadians typically like the one flight because we have so many charters to choose from, but not everyone in the world has the options like we have. But the one flight just avoids those connections you have to make in the airport. And splurging right now is another travel trend. And for the people who have worked throughout this pandemic, they haven't had, they haven't been able to spend their money on dining out and entertainment and traveling. So they are ready to splurge when they decide that they're going to travel. So with sustainability, I just really want to bring this emphasis because it's really near and dear to me. And we really need to make a conscious comeback when we do start traveling again. It's a promise for generations to come. And this shouldn't be a trend. It really should be a transformation. We need to do our part when we make our travel choices. And a recent survey said 82% of people want to travel more responsibly. And I believe that. I see that within our own clients. But the 4 pillars of sustainability are people, planet, community, and commerce. And we need to think about the footprint that we're leaving behind, not just in travel, but in all of our choices. But when you make your travel choices, make them meaningful and purposeful. Ask yourself when you're spending the money, am I also doing good in the destination that I'm visiting? Do my travel dollars support the local people and enrich their quality of life as a result? Is the food I'm eating sourced from a local farmer? Make sustainability a greater factor in your travel choices. This begins at home by choosing to shop local. And Hangar9 can, they are local businesses as well. So I often hear, their ads about shop local. So it's not just in travel, but it's in all of your choices. And when you choose to work with travel experts locally, you have that peace of mind while you're traveling, and you have the support if something goes wrong, but you also have enriched the economy in which you live. So those are really important things when you do start traveling, and it's easy to educate yourself on sustainability. And if you need any assistance with that, I'm certainly willing to help you. So how can you travel safely moving forward? These are just some of the tips. One of them is bring your own supplies. Even on airplanes, if you wanted to bring your own food, you could do that type of thing. Know before you go. And part of what I've already said is really educating yourself on the destinations you're going to, what needs to be done. Your travel agent can certainly help you with all of that. Be border savvy and keep an eye on the borders that you're crossing. Minimize your stops and maximize your time. And that kind of goes back to that slow travel and long stay as well trend. So book a clean and contactless stay. Many hotels now, it's contactless from the time you enter until the time you leave. So embrace the outdoors smartly and respectfully, and know your own level of comfort. The one thing with all these tests and things that you require, like print a copy of these. If your COVID test, your vaccination, any of your entry documents, don't rely just on your phone, because that can be a deal breaker if your phone gets lost while you're traveling. So, and develop a strong and trusted relationship with your travel agent. And last but not least, ensure you have adequate travel insurance. So with the insurance, I won't go into detail because there's so many different policies to choose from, but I can tell you that insurance is by far one of the things you need to consider before you start planning your trip. And as in a pre-COVID world, insurance kind of was a last item where you decided on your trip and then you said, oh, well, should I get insurance? But everyone really should have insurance. There's so many choices for you out there, but like to highlight a few, there's one that's cancel for any reason, and that is obviously the creme de la creme, but very good. But there's also like quarantine or COVID insurance out there available. I know that many of the insurance companies are currently changing their COVID policies. So I think they're probably ready to announce that as soon as our restrictions are lifted. But there's insurance available for you when you want to travel. So So that kind of wraps it up. How can you stay informed? You can monitor the website sites that I'm going to share with you. And, don't hesitate to call at any time. We're here for you. You could visit our website. It's broadescapes.com. And we have a newsletter. You could sign up for our newsletter. It's called the BE Buzz. And you could follow us on social media as well on Facebook and Instagram. Right now, we have on our website pre-registrations for all of our upcoming tours for 2022 and 2023. And as I said, it's a no obligation. We're not accepting or collecting payments at this time. It's just if you're interested in those. So we know moving forward that everyone will have their own level of comfort when it comes to travel. And we understand that, and we'll be here for you when you're ready to start planning. Some will want to start, right out of the blocks, and some will want to ease back and wait and see how travel is going to be in the future. But travel as we know it has changed, and we're here to help you navigate through all those changes. So please don't ever hesitate to contact us or contact any local travel agency that you might have. We're here for you. So I'm going to open it up here if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, so if anyone has any questions specifically for Bonnie and the information that was shared, please, you feel free to go off mic and you can ask, or you can throw it in the chat box below. But I know it was a lot of information. So please let me know if anything popped up. Well, thank you so much, Bonnie. That was a lot of information. I definitely was, taking notes as we were going along for sure. But I'm just going to take a minute to just also let you know how else Hangar9 can assist you in preparing for your next great escape. So there's so many amazing services that we offer. And I know that we preach to you guys all the time the concept of the formula and the 9. And I think when you travel specifically for work, but even more so for pleasure, the 9 really does start to make sense. And that's really where it comes to its full fruition. So yes, your Hangar9 stylist will actually pack your bag for your next big adventure. So we do have a travel and event packing service. And how we look at this is time equals money. And your time is much better spent getting excited about your upcoming vacation and trip rather than fretting about what you're going to wear on this said vacation. So we all want you to look and feel your best when we travel, but with a limited selection of items from your wardrobe, it's always best to leave it to the experts as it is to planning that great, amazing trip. So whether traveling for work or for pleasure, we're here to ensure that you look and feel your absolute best while traveling. You can simply send us your itinerary, your conference agenda, and we can create a detailed list of what to wear, when, how to maximize the 9 core pieces to get up to 36 different outfit combinations. And, this service can be offered virtually. It can be offered in-home, in-store when we're permitted to do so. And in basically 90 minutes, you'll be styled, packed, and ready to go for whatever adventure you have in store for your next big trip. And I just want to focus really quickly too on some of my top 5 absolute must-have picks, no matter where you're going. And these are a nice combination of just key items that probably you already have in your wardrobe, but just when you're making your kind of go-to packing list, thinking, what do I need? These are the 5 places that I always like to start. Number 1 is going to be a great blazer. I love an MSP, specifically the fabrication I'm wearing right now, which is the Scuba fabrication. It is an antimicrobial fabric. So it has the properties that will just help with ease of wear. It won't, you won't have to worry about, when we get traveling, about disinfecting your clothes or wearing a hazmat suit or any of that. There's really great fabrications out there that help you with this. Frame for the fall is even coming out with denim that literally is antibacterial. So it's antibacterial, antimicrobiome, all of these great properties that are being woven into the fabrics with hemp and bamboo that makes them sustainable, comfortable, but also has these great kind of safety features, I'm calling them. And then just easy comfort. And I'm sorry, there is no one in this world, especially a woman, who doesn't look amazing in a blazer. A blazer just complements every single look. It's an easy item. You can throw it on over a t-shirt and jeans. You can throw it on over any dress, and it just completely finishes the look. One of my next favorite pieces, and actually I'll get one of the girls to throw the link into the chat box so you guys can check this out on our website, is the Fatale dress. The Fatale dress from Wolford is a multifunctional piece. It's really super amazing. It's essentially just a long tube that you can wear it as a skirt, you can wear it as a tube top, you can wear it as a dress. There's 1,000 different ways. So we're going to send you that tomorrow in the recap, but check it out because it's an amazing must-have product. And then, you know, always a good shoe, a good statement sneaker, a barely there strappy sandal is always a good go-to. But last, but definitely not least, are the easy care, on the go care products. So we've talked about this so much in our webinars because it's so important that how you look after your clothes should be step one. You're spending a lot of money on these clothes. They're meant to last for years. You know, back to Bonnie's point about sustainability, like we're all about that here at Hangar9. So we want to make these goods last as long as humanly possible, and caring for them is the number one step, because frankly, traveling in your clothes is super hard on everything. It's hard on you, it's hard on your clothes, it's hard on everything. So there's a few great products I just want to quickly feature. The Euclid, we've talked about this all the time. It comes in a really great travel size. It is fully natural product. It's a no soak, delicate wash. So I take this with me on every trip. I can soak my undergarments in the sink in the hotel room. You don't have to rinse them. You can just hang them up in the shower. Good to go. Any spot cleaning, if you get makeup on the collar, anything like that, this is an awesome product. Along the same vein is our wash and stain bar. This you can literally just throw in your kit bag, literally use it like a bar of soap, and you can get any stains out of any of your garments, because if you let them sit until you can dry clean them at home, they might have set, and that could be bad news. And then we have, last but not least, the crease release from Laundress. It comes in this really great, awesome mini size. As you can see, everything is super compact, but the crease release is amazing because when you get home from dinner or day out, you can just hang your clothes up, give them even a quick spritz, and it has this amazing smell to it, this really fresh, almost like, I call it like a baby smell, like that baby powder, like yumminess. And it's just, it removes wrinkles, but it will also just keep your clothes fresh so that you can put them back in your bag and you don't have to worry about anything like that. Like one of my story I always tell about this is when we were in Germany for Berlin Fashion Week, they still smoke in a lot of their bars, and our clothes just like reeked so badly. And this, I literally sprayed it with this, hung it outside in the freezing cold, and just let my clothes air out, and they were good as new the next day. So these are kind of our secrets to, you know, successful packing, but your stylist will help you navigate the itinerary, navigate your trip so that you can even pack in a carry-on. With the 9 pieces, some great accessories, you can pack in a carry-on for up to a month because we can get 36 different looks. So you might get sick of wearing the same outfits over and over, but we'll get you there. So it's a really great service. You can book a free consult on our website if you have any questions about it or want to walk through, but it's something that we're really excited to start doing again because we haven't done this in quite some time. So we're really excited. So thank you again so much to Bonnie for joining us. Thank you everyone for taking the time out of your day. And you know,
Rachael, we do just have one question
yeah.
for Bonnie, asking, do we expect that airlines will reduce the number of people on flights to reduce the transmission?
No, I don't think so. That seemed to happen in the early stages, where airlines were saving that middle seat. But most of the airlines that had incorporated that in their first stage, they've now removed that and they're selling the middle seat again. So I think that in general, airlines will be trying to fill their planes again.
There was another question. Is there any airlines to stay away from as COVID has affected so many travel companies?
As far as financially,
Yes.
you mean?
Like, I think there was a merger and it went, was there a merger with Air Transat?
Well, there was technically a merger before
over.
COVID, but
Yes.
it has not taken place now. So financially, yeah, we're not privy to that information, so I really couldn't answer that. Yeah, so I can't really advise
But I
that.
guess this is where the travel insurance comes into play, right?
Yes, exactly.
Especially with your credit card, I would assume there's always added travel insurance that you get with your credit card that maybe would cover you for that. You'd have to.
Yeah, and there's also in Ontario, we have TICO, which is Travel Industry Council of Ontario. So if a supplier were to fall into bankruptcy, then there is consumer protection through TICO. But again, if it's an airline, it is limited because obviously a large airline, if they were to fall into bankruptcy, could also wipe out the whole TICO consumer allotment. So getting back to that first question about travel and the reduction in numbers, they have proven that travel, the airline part of the travel is actually safer than the airports, for example. It's because of the filtration system that they use in the aircraft. So, and everyone still has to wear the mask throughout the flight. So the aircraft itself is very safe.
Awesome.
Great.
And I think it'll just be everyone learning how to navigate this new COVID life, right? Like,
yes,
I even was saying to some clients yesterday, like, I probably will wear a mask even if it's not mandated, because I was that person that always got sick every time I took a flight. So yeah, it'll be interesting, but I'm ready, let me tell you. So I cannot wait. That's for sure. Well, thank you so much again, everyone. And if you have any questions, again, we'll be sending out all of those links tomorrow in the recap. And we can pass any questions that come along that aren't included in that information along to Bonnie. So don't hesitate to ask. But thank you so much for your time. And we hope you stay safe, get vaccinated, and we hope to see you in store soon. Have a great night, everyone.